Hi, everyone. How are you doing today? So, today on episode 2, we're going to talk about who does what in the home. This series is of 5 episodes and it's on relationships where we take an honest look at the everyday dynamics between men and women. If you've noticed, I haven't mentioned kids, and I'm not going to. I mean, the reason being is that is a family relationship. It's not the same as a man and woman relationship. So that's why. So let's continue. Did either of you ever walk into a room, flip a switch, and the lights out? You make a mental note, and then 3 days later, it's still out. Individually, both of you start thinking, how long should I wait before I change the light bulb? So, why does this happen? Because neither of you know whose job it is to change the bulb. That right there might be the story of more than half of America, you know? All right, so let's talk about that home front. Number one's the light bulb theory. Every couple has their version of the light bulb. It's the one little household task that sits undone because it's never defined as someone's job. And for some reason, it always seems to just kind of like hover in the air. Geez, is he going to do that or should I be doing that? I know this isn't about the light bulb, but what it is you'd like to create balance, to quiet that tug of war that happens in homes every single day. Who does what? Who notices what? And who gets credit for it? And if you're seeing parts of your life in this video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and tap that little bell. That way, you're going to be notified when episode 3 drops, which is going to be how do partners interact in public versus home. It's an interesting one. Women tend to see all the invisible things. And I mentioned this in episode 1 that women have eyes like scanners. So, what are those invisible things she sees? It's like a wet towel on the floor or an open toothpaste. They have to empty milk, the bread left out on the counter. And men tend to see, the big picture. The mortgage is paid, the car is running just fine, and no one's on fire, so things must be fine. There is a definite difference in focus, isn't there? I mean, the thing is, neither side is wrong. We just have to come a little closer to the middle for both partners. Everything we've done in our life is a learned activity. So perhaps it's time for some more learning on both sides in the home. A conversation that starts with, what's the worst thing you hate doing in the house? And he may say, folding the clothes. And she might say, doing the dishes. But she's going to say it a little bit different than that because men are brief, so that's all he's going to say. She's going to say, doing the dishes because after all I have to get all the groceries for it. I have to get it all out. I have to decide what to make. I have to make it. I have to set the table. I have to take everything off of the table. So I hate the dishes. And that's just women. We want to add a whole bunch of stuff in there. It's who we are. So I'm not dishing on women for that. It's just that's the truth. The discussion, though, it now begins. She can offer to fold the clothes, if he puts everything in the washer and the dryer. And he might say, all right, I'll do the dishes when you cook, and you do the dishes whenever I cook. Well, see, that was easy for him, anyways. He's got it down. Clothes in the washer and dryer, and do the dishes when she cooks. For her, oh, I know I sound like I'm picking on women, but for her, she's going to sabotage this plan. Not intentionally, don't get me wrong, but she will. Because there was no discussion on the what ifs. She knows the towels need washed, and she also knows the bed sheets have to come off and be washed. but she's not going to say anything about that yet. And oh yeah, those rugs that we have in every single room, those need to be washed every now and then. But rather than mention that, she's going to keep that little ace up her sleeve. Do you see where I'm going with this? This is where confusion and misunderstanding take place, and you're back to square one. So get these two, whatever your two things are, solved before you discuss anything else. I mean, give it a trial run. That way you can learn from each other. It'll be bumpy in the beginning, but things will be much easier for you both in the long term. And now we're reaching for number two, the fix it man. And now we're going to step into a little bit of the stereotypical roles, which I'm not trying to do too much. Men are supposed to fix things. It used to be that most men knew their way around a toolbox. They could fix a leaky faucet, hang a shelf, or replace a doorknob with or without YouTube. Now, I'm not saying these men are gone. There's just fewer of these days. Some say it's because, well, everything's become disposable, and others say it's because we've all gotten busier and convenience won. But it's not that we're asking you to redo the whole plumbing in the house or that we're asking you to rewire all the electrical. If we're asking you to put a nail in the wall so we can hang a picture or you can hang the picture because you're taller, whatever it would be, that's all we're asking for. It should be something that can be done and can be fixed quickly. But here's the thing. Women notice effort, and we talked about that in episode 1. Even if the repair takes 3 trips to the hardware store, women still notice that you tried. And men, sometimes if you just pick up that screwdriver it's more romantic than flowers. You know why? It says, "I gotcha." And on the flip side, a lot of men say they'd do more if they didn't feel like they were going to be corrected or criticized. And honestly, they do have a point. And again, we talked about this in episode 1. Some women are having a hard time watching someone do a task differently than they do, especially if it's slower or messier or just wrong. But if women want help, women have to let help happen, even if it means something might get broken. And number 3 is the mental load. The men and women both know that keeping a household running is both physical and mental. Women often carry this mental load, because they've taken on the task of remembering what needs to be done and when it needs to be done and how it all fits together. It's the never ending mental calendar that we have running in our heads constantly. The doctor's appointments, birthdays, kids or grandkids, activities, batteries. You get it. All that stuff that women have to remember. And while men absolutely help, often it's the women who quietly manage those details. But what would happen if that changed? What if your home life became more of a partnership and not something being delegated to you? Are you aware that your house doesn't care who vacuums it? It doesn't care. It doesn't. But the relationship will feel the difference when both people contribute because it's your home, your understanding of what needs to be done and by who. I mean, who cares what anybody else has going on in their home? You have a different partnership than anybody. It's your home. You two figure it out your way. And number 4 is sharing the load without starting a war. So how do couples make the home front feel balanced without turning it into a scoreboard? I mean, talk about the things that drain you most. I mean, really, not as complaints, but as conversations. Maybe it's the constant meal planning or remembering what's running low. Instead of saying to him, you never help me with dinner, try saying, "Hey, maybe we could trade off once a week or maybe once a month even. You cook dinner and give me a break on that." Remember that a problem will always remain a problem, if there is no one figuring out that solution. Concentrate on solutions. Stop bringing it up every couple of days and stop referring to it as the problem. Look at each other and figure out the solution that works best. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You can work on that, but at least you started. And for men, don't wait to be asked. Look around. I know your eyes aren't scanners, but you can look around and see things. And if it looks like something needs doing, it probably does. Even if you get that, why are you doing that now? Question. Simply say, I happen to notice it, and then just keep on doing it. It'll shock her. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just do it before it becomes a conversation. And on a personal thought, I know this is going to be strange, but when it comes to cooking, I have always been so curious about why, if all the most talented chefs in the world are male, how did we get stuck in the kitchen cooking? Really, if they're all so great, why why aren't more men stepping up to the plate? So it just doesn't make sense to me. I thought I'd throw it out there. You tell me what you think, whether you're man or woman. Am I wrong? Let me know. And number 5, who should get praised? Now, let's talk about something that every couple secretly struggles with, and that is praise and the amount of praise. And we could go a little further with this and ask, why does either partner need to be praised? It is your home. It's not at work where, of course, you love being praised for doing something good. You're kind of at home, and it is stuff that has to be done. But when you cross over into each other's stereotypical jobs, praise should be involved, and it only needs a simple thank you. And we've always wondered, why is it when a man vacuums, he gets a standing ovation? But when a woman vacuums, it's just Tuesday. I mean, Believe it or not, men aren't looking for that standing ovation. Remember, men are brief. And I know I'm going to say this in probably every single episode, but men are brief. A simple thank you is all they need. And men don't need the applause, but they're often conditioned to see those tasks as extra. And women, on the other hand, are expected to just do them. That's an unfair setup for both sides. Totally unfair. Nothing should be expected and nothing should be extra for either one. Again, it's your home. But what's the truth here? Everyone likes acknowledgement. We all do. Everyone likes to feel seen. So if your husband folds the laundry, even badly, tell him thanks. And if your wife, she fixes the Wi Fi for the 5th time this month, tell her thanks too. We don't need to keep score. All we're looking for is respect in the chores that require daily, weekly, or monthly maintenance. And number 6 is making it a shared space. A healthy home should be fluid, but that doesn't mean it flows evenly every day. Some days women are going to be doing more and giving more, and some days men are going to give more. It's just the way it is. But the best homes are the ones where both partners see what needs to be done and just do it without waiting to be told. And some of those examples are, the dishwasher loaded or unloaded, the trash bags taken out, and a new one put in its place. And of course, just taking a simple task and getting it done. Those 2-minute tasks, just doing a few of those. So maybe the real question isn't who does what at home, but how do we help each other? We know that chores don't define the relationship, and you're going to have to learn and relearn how to handle them together. And when both partners feel we've got this, the atmosphere in the house is relaxed, it's fun, it's enjoyable. So, next time on So Curious, we'll talk about what happens when we take that teamwork out into the world, how couples act around friends in public, and whether teasing is bonding or biting. And until the next one, bye.